Revolution starts in the mind, but liberation begins when the heart tunes to love. And that is a quote from yours truly. And this quote addresses one of the main reasons I created Hippie-Fari, the beautiful life-changing message of reggae music. It was created for social change, and its message is as strong today as it was in the 60s when the first reggae records were released in Jamaica. So welcome to another episode of Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast, recorded live in the Ohm and Honey Reggae Radio and Media Studios in beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida. I am your host, Scotty the High-Strung Hippie, and Hippie-Fari is a place where we discuss all things reggae, so if reggae music is your thing, you're in the right place. So today, we have a special guest in the studio. We are diving into the heart of Florida's reggae movement, with a band that brings conscious lyrics and heavy energy and grassroots spirit straight out of Ocala. From their 2018 EP, Road to Somewhere, with my favorite track, Give Me One Drop, to their 2019 full-length album, Sail Adrift. They're here to spread messages of unity, herbal healing, and resistance through roots. Now, this is a session for culture, vibes, and mission. So let's welcome our guest to the studio and get to know the spirit behind the sound. Welcome, Propaganjah. What's up, man?
Hey, man. Super stoked to be here, man. Super stoked. Awesome Saturday.
Yes, fantastic.
Happy Saturday to everyone.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on, taking time out of your busy schedule. We definitely appreciate it. Been talking to you for a while, so this has been a long time coming. So we're definitely excited to have you on, man. Cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into these questions here, so we can get to learn a little bit about you. So, how did Propaganjah get started, and what is the meaning behind the name?
Okay, so awesome. So Propaganjah started as a thought of mine and a buddy of mine named Cody. And Cody and I were living in Gainesville. We were like old roommates from way back in the day. And we reconnected. We just never, we both went our separate ways with our lives at one time. And then we got back together and I started hanging out and stuff. And started writing music around him because he was like, hey, man, you need to really start writing some more music. And he really was the catalyst to all of it. Like, he said, hey, man, I really think that you need to put the message out there. So a dozen years ago, I wrote a song called Rebel Seas. And Rebel Seas, I'm sure we'll dive into in a bit. And Better Days was another one.
Is Rebel Seas on your EP?
Another one.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it actually is. Yep, Rebel Seas, and that ended up becoming like a prophetic song, like literally, lyrically, and it's something that I've always stood strong on. The content of that song. But so I was trying to bring the traditional reggae vibe into a atmosphere that would absorb it. And here in Ocala and the surrounding areas, they didn't really have any reggae coming out. So people were confused when I was like, hey, I've got some reggae music, I've been writing for a while. Reggae music, man, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, my family's from the Virgin Islands, I grew up on reggae music, calypso and soca music. My family's Crucian, and they're from St. Croix on my dad's side. And so they grew up on real rhythmic calypso and soca music at a lot of our parties. Like, that's mostly the music that we grew up on, that classic rock and then Motown and R&B from my mom's side. So I kind of took that fusion and said, you know what? I could infuse all of this together and come up with our own version of Caribbean soul music or reggae music, to be vague. But so I started writing music for this about 12 years ago. And so I was trying to pander at the time to get somebody to trust us. And I said, hey, man, maybe as a trio, it was me, my buddy Cody, and his cousin Tyler. I said, well, maybe we could call our band Salted Rim so people get
Right,
the
exactly.
idea.
Yep.
You know, like a margarita or something. You know, I
Sure.
wanted their heads to go straight to that. And it was so pandering, and I feel shitty about
Right.
even thinking about that idea
That's funny, man.
today. But it's funny to look back. But I was like, oh, that's kind of the crowd I think that will really appreciate this music, because the younger kids, I feel, were kind of looking for more
Yes,
the
100%.
nonsensical kind of reggae music, you know. And you know, to each their own. That's fine, you know. But I don't have anything in common with running out of cigarettes, having to go to the corner store, and
Right.
going to pawn shops and stuff. Which it's great. You know, that's great. You know, they did, a lot of bands do their thing, you know. But I was kind of more like on the thing of wanting to write stories to empower people and all that. And that was hard to sell people. So I was like, I think older folks might like our music. And they're going to accept us more because maybe they visited the islands.
Right.
Maybe they've been down to the Virgin Islands. So I was like, all right, maybe we can make this something. Well, I think a couple of years later, I met up with a guy who ended up being a marketing agent. Well, you know, he called me one day and he goes, "Hey man, for our duo, would you like to, what are you thinking, like, name wise?" I said,
Right.
something maybe weed related. And I said, because I am anti-pharmaceuticals. I always have been. And, you know, and of
Sure.
course we all partied at some point in our lives. So
Absolutely.
that aside. But, you know, I always made that conscious choice to never go on prescription drugs and stuff. And so I said, man, maybe we could do something for like the propaganda of marijuana. And he goes, what about
Yeah.
Propaganjah? I said, I'll only do it if it's
I love it.
got a JAH at the end, so that it really emphasizes the Caribbean side, you know? And that's pretty much how the roots started of it all. So it was about a dozen years ago I started writing the music for Propaganjah. And then I presented that music to a guy who played a djembe. We ended up adding more people to the band. And I said, I always want it to be a big band. I want it to be, you know, at least 6 people all the time. So we've had horn sections, we've had sax players, we've had, you know, everything that you could think of. But I've always just made sure that, you know, everybody had the same vision at every time. And that's been the evolution of Propaganjah since the beginning. And but really it was a fusion of the roots that I grew up on. You know, I've been really fond of people that embrace their culture, and we've always been instilled to embrace our culture. You know, my dad's of Puerto Rican roots and West African roots on his mother's side and everything. And then so we grew up on a lot of rhythmic music. And then my mom, being from Long Island, New York, she's Sicilian. And so Motown, Marvin Gaye, you know, Smokey Robinson, The Temptations, Luther Vandross, Stevie Wonder was my hero growing up. You know, Marvin Gaye was one of my favorite singers. So all of that fusion and the classic rock like Pink Floyd kind of made me think more with a blend rather than I want to sound like Steel Pulse. I want to sound like this, you know. I never wanted to sound like anybody in the reggae world. I never wanted to sound like anybody in the rock world. I never wanted to sound like anybody in any world. So we just kind of vibe to our own thing with the combination of hip hop music that I grew up on. You know, like I got a Tupac tattoo right here. You know, without Tupac, I would have never written a lyric in my life. I feel, you know, maybe I would have gotten inspiration from somebody else, but Tupac, I liked his lyrics of accountability. He called people out on shit, you know, and that's what I like. I like when people look at themselves and go, I know that I'm fucked up. This is what I could do to better myself or better people in general and better people around you. And he preached that.
Very revolutionary.
Very strong. And some people didn't like him for that, you know. You know, accountability was everything. He was a very high IQ dude, and you know, and he inspired me a lot to write influentially rather than you know, nonsensically. You know, but we all have our times that we want to escape and have fun. You know, so it's all about the feelings that you invoke out of people. And that's why I love all music, all genres. And we're all about the genre. So Propaganjah is about infusing everything to make everyone universally enjoy the experience rather than alienating.
That's absolutely fantastic. And it's cool that you mentioned Tupac. I used to be in a political group called Refuse and Resist. From the name, you can kind of understand maybe where we were coming from. And we actually had his mother, Afeni Shakur, I believe that's her name. She came out and spoke at one of our conferences, and it was absolutely amazing. Tupac was held in very high regard because of his revolutionary spirit and his voice for change, especially in the community that he came from. He brought a lot of things to light that a lot of people weren't talking about, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm glad that you mentioned having a big band. We love the horn section and the keys and the percussion. That's what brings your sound to the forefront of just awesome reggae music, and we absolutely love that. So, what was the music scene like in Ocala when you were coming up, man?
When we were coming up, there's a lot of southern rock bands around. All of them good and stuff. Ocala's got a really good music scene, I feel. Of course, we're overlooked a lot, and then when people get here, they're like, "Oh wow, these people like to party," and it's like, "Yeah, I've been doing all this for years." So Ocala's had a really big growth since we've started. The cultural appreciation in Ocala has gone through the roof. If somebody says otherwise, they've been under a rock, because we just did a event downtown.
Love her. She was just on my podcast.
That 10 years. Yeah. Oh yeah. Awesome. Yes. Awesome band. Awesome people. And they were blown away by Ocala as well. I was blown away by our own city, and it made me appreciate that almost 10 years ago when I started the band here in Ocala, it's just such a cultural shift. I mean, it's to the point to where marijuana smoking in public is not a big deal anymore.
Oh, yeah, man.
10 years ago, oh, Lord, people were sweating over that shit. Me, I was like, man, just be cool about it, y'all. Chill, smoke on the corner. Don't be dicks to the cops. They're not trying. Yes, they don't really want to take you in for smoking weed.
Yeah.
But if you're being a dick about it, they're probably going to take you in. And every person that I know that's gotten in trouble for it.
Of course, man. Yes.
Most of the time. And so here in Ocala, the acceptance of it all, I was talking to a cop after that show, the Natalie Raj show, and he was commending us on how he's done like security and stuff for a lot of our shows. And he's like, man, y'all shows are always a good time. Like everybody of all diversities come to the shows. And that was what I've always wanted. And it was with help with the city of Ocala, they trusted that we were going to bring people to the shows and have a good time. And that's reggae music in Ocala now that has become Cashed Out just played here Wednesday. And they had a great crowd there. And we were so stoked about that because it's just a homage to all the work that Caribbean style bands and Caribbean bands have put in to spread the culture without people, having a sour taste of any sort. It's because it's a music that people just didn't understand before, and sometimes it's a stylistic thing, but the message should always 100%. Be to empower people, I feel, in reggae music. And I feel like it's empowering to know that the people of this community have shifted so significantly on marijuana usage. Now I think we've got more, we probably have more dispensaries than 90% of the cities in Florida. For certain. We have about 16 dispensaries in Ocala. That's one thing. Just the culture shift in general, people listening to reggae music out in public now. Yes. That's cool as hell, man. Because I remember begging people for $200. Hey, man, I've got this band. Just trust me. We're not going to shit the bed here. And we would go and play for like $200. out in Salt Springs. Salt Springs was where the origins of Propaganjah was. Our first performance was at a place called Salty's. Thank you, Paul Green, if you're watching this at all. Paul Green was the guy that I'll never forget, and he still lives out there in Salt Springs and everything. And he and his family, family friends growing up, and he always,
What's that? Oh no, we're good.
We're going in and out.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Signal was going in and out on my end.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was happening. I was like, what? So Paul Green was the owner of Salty's, and he was like, hey, Rob, he used to come over to Cheney Brothers when I was working there, and he goes, you need to really bring your band out there, man. I swear to you, man, it's gonna be a good time. I know that it seems like it's gonna be weird out there, but I promise you, we're a real kickback spot with a back patio that y'all could rock. We have a little stage back there. I said, all right, you know what? Let's do it, man. I was like, I can't get any of these venues around here to trust me because nobody knew me in the music scene. I didn't know any musicians. And all I could do was hope that somebody trusted me by playing acoustic for them or something and singing for them. And finally we had some people that trusted us. And it was Paul Green with his venue. And so we went out there and played. And I remember the first time that we played out there, there's a guy that comes up to me while I'm setting up. And I put my mic stand down, put the microphone on there. And it's like a trio show, I believe. Me, a djembe player, and a bass player. And we're up there. Guy comes up. Hey, what kind of music y'all play? And I'm like, well, we play Caribbean soul music, like reggae music. You know, he goes, like Bob Marley.
Right.
And he had his face all scrunched up, you know. And I go,
yeah.
I mean, I guess. Yeah. That we go a little bit harder, you know, we go a little bit more, and we have a little bit of edge to it. So it's gonna be, I think that you'll like it. And he goes, and kind of shrugs me off, and I went, for some reason, something possessed me. I don't know why. I look over at him and I go, if we suck, you can unplug my microphone after the first song.
Did he?
I still go, man, I got away with some shit. Because I was really wanting to sell them on something different. You know, I knew that they hadn't heard this kind of music. I knew that they were, you know, probably listening to Bob Seger and Skinner and stuff, which I love Skinner too. But I figured that that's what they were expecting. So the guy goes, deal. We shake hands. We play a song. Dude comes up halfway through the song, standing like maybe a couple feet away from me. And he goes,
nice. That's great.
You guys are good. And he goes back and he sits down, starts drinking, and he becomes a fan. And it was from then on that I said, if we could sell this music for people to listen to, just if we could get people to listen to this music, this could change a lot. But I want to sell it to the crowds that don't get reggae music. Or maybe people have a misconception about that area, maybe that city. Maybe they heard on the news that it was scary there, some weird shit. Right. And it never is. It never is. People are just looking for a good time, relaxing, and with a good energy and a good vibe. So we pride ourselves in bringing that good vibe without all the drama attached, all the aggression. And that's what I feel being a musician's about, is invoking those
You're
positive
exactly right,
emotions,
100%. You know, it's, as musicians, especially as reggae musicians, not like you really have a job to do, but there's kind of, you know, a vision that you want to carry forward. And the fact that you are carrying forth that vision in your music to get that message out to people that have never heard it before is an absolutely beautiful thing, especially in the city of Ocala, which people, kind of relate with, like you said,
Yeah.
Southern rock and kind of, in the woods of Florida.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, to
Yeah.
have a voice of change and ganja in Ocala.
Yeah. And dude, they were the
Yes.
ones, they were the people that accepted us. They were
Yes,
the
and
ones that
yeah,
judged the
people that
least,
people
which
that
was insane.
that's the opposite. Yeah,
Which
that
is
it's and a
my
lot of
theory.
people don't understand that.
My
They are the
theory.
people that judge the least. They're some of the most
Yeah,
open-minded people in the world. The bikers out there in Ocala are so cool with everything, man. It's
absolutely.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And people get the misconceptions because they absorb themselves in the evil
Yes,
that is
exactly.
the media, and that's what the fact is, and this isn't any new development. So I hate when people try to correlate it with new developments. I'm like, no. These are things that over a dozen years ago,
Right.
maybe since the beginning of it,
Right.
has always been a bad thing, and so it's real. It's a real
So we've gotten some of the
something,
core messages of your sound. We know that ganja definitely influences your music and that you are impacting your local community. So how would you describe your sound for someone who has never heard Propaganjah before? I think you kind of just explained it a little bit with that guy, but kind of go in depth, say I've never heard you. Kind of explain your sound to me real quick.
Well, our live element is a lot different than a lot of the recorded things. We like to expand on things. We do get jammy. We don't like short sets because we tend to condense songs. Not, we condense it too much almost. And it's like, man, I don't want to just play pop versions of all these songs. I want to take people on a journey so that their emotions are going on a journey as well with us. So our music is definitely an emotional journey, I would feel. If you're seeing us live, and we just like to let the people's energy around us affect the way that we play. So we never play guitar solos or anything the same. Our keyboardists like to switch it up with the vibe. We go, all right, tonight we're feeling like we might go into a little Latin groove here, and we'll start going into a Latin groove. Or sometimes we'll go into more calypso styles, and we just like to keep it fresh. And so we have a tendency of being real rocky depending on our crowd. And then sometimes we'll kick it back super one drop, and we'll give you the one drop reggae that's more that classic 70s, 80s, more the 80s, because the 70s was a little too kickback sometimes. Which I love 70s,
late 70s
reggae too,
man.
growing up on Jimmy Cliff. Jimmy Cliff, Third World, all that, fantastic. But sometimes I like to infuse a little bit, I call it almost like a double time reggae. So it's more on top of the beat, gives you a little bit of boom bop, to it. And that gives me more of the reminiscence of the dance hall as well as the I grew up on a lot of Beanie Man too, and Elephant Man.
Yep, Yellow Man.
So dance hall and Townfall and Cali Buds, and so I grew up on a lot of that too. So I like to bounce rhythms a lot, and calypso and soca also, because in soca music you have the soul singers. So I have more of that vibe. I'm a soul singer, and I've been singing more like Stevie Wonder style to Bruno Mars style growing up as a tenor. So I just absolutely enjoy bringing that element to our music. So if you love soul music, if you love Caribbean rhythms, if you love classic rock music, I think it's the vibe, it's the vibe. And if you want to be empowered and you want to feel like you can think for yourself independently and assess everything around you and say, you know what, this world is actually not what they're saying, and if you come to one of our shows, if you see the diversity and you see everybody just having a good time, it's the pure evidence is right
That's
in front of your
absolutely
eyes.
fantastic. And that was a great segue, talking about you being a soul singer, talking about the one drop. I'm going to go ahead for the people real quick. And if you don't mind, I'm going to play my favorite Propaganjah song. Give me one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It does make me feel old, though, because this one was recorded so long ago.
It's got, the world famous reggae drum beat, the one drop, because that's what gets me. It gives me goosebumps every time I hear that, and it talks about the red, gold, and green, which is obviously 100% reminiscent of reggae music. So this is "Gimme One Drop" by Propaganjah. Absolutely. Check this out, and you'll see what we're talking about. This is beautiful stuff.
The highest ceiling, but we ain't coming down no more. So drop me a beat, then pass me my guitar, so I can spit these lyrics coming straight from our heart. We sing it with the days, but no one wants a part from the cooling senses ways that keeps this world the dark. I said, oh, give me one drop reggae to relieve my soul. Let the red, gold, and green illuminate us soul. She giving me love and company. She filling my life up with family. Giving me one drum melody. They give me love all the time. So fill up my cup and roll me up a spliff, so I can speak these lyrics that you don't want to miss. We embrace the highest highs and fight the lowest lows. Kick back, relax, and let your mind go to the rhythm and the flow provided. We'll keep you on the dance floor, your soul's ignited. Whoa, give me one drop reggae to relieve my soul. Oh, let the red, gold, and green illuminate our soul. She giving me love and company. She filling my life up with family. Giving me one drum melody. They give me love all the time. I say, oh, give me one drop reggae to relieve my soul. Oh, let the red, gold, and green illuminate our soul. She giving me love and company. She filling my life up with family. She giving me one drum melody. She give me love all the time.
Gimme one drop. Propaganjah. That's such good stuff, man. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for letting me play your track. And I know you said that kind of makes you feel old. because you recorded that
Oh, yeah.
a while ago. But speaking of recording, since you
Oh, yeah.
mentioned it, just do us a favor real quick and walk us through your creative process when you're writing, jamming, and recording.
Okay. Yeah. So when I'm writing, I actually start everything usually
Nice.
with my acoustic guitar. Occasionally, I'll start writing a song off of a riff that I wrote on the electric guitar. But for some reason, I like to just sit down with my acoustic and come up
Nice.
with the melody line first. It's always the melody first. I always come up with a melody for the song, essentially. And
I
then
like that.
that's pretty much
So you
my
have a
foundation
process.
is
That's
off of the
awesome.
melody. And then I start, yeah. And I try my best to start with that because sometimes I'll get into
Yep.
a habit of just writing lyrics out
Right.
and I'm trying to force the lyrics. And I said, I'd rather have a melody that I'm committed to while
Right.
I'm freestyling these lyrics. So I'll already come up with my cadence. And when I come up with the cadence of something that doesn't sound like anything else per se, but might be reminiscent of a time period. Like for instance, the vibe of Gray Skies. I always felt a vibe
Right.
of Heard It Through the Grapevine.
Yeah,
But
sure.
they sound nothing alike. But that was kind of the vibe I was thinking, because it's easy to sit down and go, oh, I love Steel Pulse. I'm going to write a song like Roller Skates. And then I end up writing something that
Right.
almost sounds melodically
Yeah.
the same. And I don't like that. So I don't really key in on listening to reggae music. Like I love Mo Calamity. But if I'm going to be writing music, I'm going to have to
Gotcha.
stop listening
So it
to her
doesn't
for a
sound much
week
like
or
it,
so,
yeah.
and just try. Yeah. And I usually try to take from other foundations of other kinds of music rather than
Cool.
reggae music so that it. But I've got the stylistic theme in mind to keep it the
Cool.
Caribbean soul style. And so that's how I lay it down with my acoustic guitar is those melodies and everything and make sure that I'm still staying confined to that style that I feel is part
That's
of the
awesome, man.
Propaganjah style. And then I bring it to the guys and I say, hey, so I
Right.
wrote this new song. And I just start playing it. And I
Beautiful.
let them just jump in
Yeah.
because like I said, they're like my brothers. They really are. They're my best friends. All the guys in the band right
And
now
I
like
see
my
why.
best
They're all
friends.
great
So
people.
they're all great people. It is the best energy I've had in a very long time around me, and it feels great just to play music with them. So all the props
Yeah,
to them.
shout out
Like,
to
it's Elliot's
Elliot,
birthday,
man.
by the way. 40th birthday today.
He is a
Motherfucking
great
Elliot
percussionist, and
on
he's a great
percussion for
dude.
Propaganjah. He's the shit. No, he's my favorite percussionist in the world. Don't
I'm a
tell him.
percussionist. I
But
play for Smyrna Herb, and I love his
he
percussion.
is.
He's got a great style, man. I love it.
Oh, absolutely love Elliot. And he and I have been like peas and
Yeah.
carrots for like 9 years now, 9 or 10 years. He was another person, him and Humans in Disguise. There's some friends of mine that I'll never, ever forget what they did for Propaganjah. They trusted us. They were the first people to let us open as, I was the one
Right.
with an acoustic guitar at first. And I said, hey, man, is there any way that I could like open for y'all so I can maybe get an in at that cool cool
Right.
wine barn that y'all play at? There was like this wine barn out in Wildwood. And it had this really cool big stage that you could fit a whole band on. And I was really just trying to get my foot in the door. And Mike from Sound Exchange at the time had told me, hey, man, so we should, you should come check out our show out here. We might be able to get you in at that venue there. I said, are they looking for reggae music? I mean, there's not many people. They said, maybe you can like open for us. And I said, for real, y'all let me? I said, I promise
great.
you, we'll crush it, man. So I ended up going by myself, and Elliot comes up to me, and he goes, hey, do you mind if I jump in on this? I said,
Right.
you better
Right.
not be counting.
Yep.
I was
Amen.
like, as long as you can play in time,
Yep.
you're good. I said, but if
Yep.
I
Yep.
see you fucking counting, I'm gonna get real nervous because I'm like, oh man, no. But I'm kind of a rhythm
Yes.
snob when it comes to that. So I was like, man, you better be on point. So we
That's
ended
right.
up playing and organically just fell right into the groove, and it was really awesome. So me and Elliot have been friends for a long time. He's my brother. So happy 40th! I wanted to give the little origin story of Elliot and Humans in the Skies, trusting us to open up for them, and I guess things came full circle, and Elliot joined the band about 5
That's
years
fantastic
ago.
stuff,
fully.
man. Yeah, the same thing with
So-
myself and Neil Erb of Smyrna Herb. We had never played before. We were at a Christmas party. I was like, you mind if I hop in with you? And I'm an accent player. I'm not flashy, but he was like, everyone was like, you guys sound like you've been playing together for years, you know? I was in the pocket the whole time, followed him, and it was great. And we've been
That's
playing
amazing.
together ever since. So, yes, that is. Yes.
Natural
Especially with
chemistry.
percussion and, you know, anybody else, man. You know, you got to, it's just, like you said, you can't count. Either you're in the
Yeah.
pocket or you're not.
Yeah. You got to feel it. And a natural feeling is everything. And natural chemistry is everything. You can't force, at least my personality, I can't force myself to play with people I don't like or
Right.
I feel a weird friction with. So I always want to make sure that the energies around are like spot on.
Yes.
Like everybody should be happy to play music.
Mhm.
Everyone's happy to be there, you know? And I just don't like sulky people and all that when it comes to music because we're there to inspire people. We're there to empower people. We have too much filth and trash out there already. Why should we add to the rubble? You know, why should we add to that? So we need to empower people with some positive music and get people together because music will always be the number one inspiration.
Great, man. And when I talk about revolution, you know, I'm not talking about picking up guns and running up a mountain. I'm talking about that revolution right there, empowering people, inspiring people, you know, convincing people that, you know, love is the answer, you know, and we can unite through music. You know, that is a revolution that we need, you know, and it's beautiful that you speak on that level.
Yeah. Rather than ridiculing people, because ridiculing people doesn't work all the time. Rather than ridiculing people, you have to show them something. Like I could have easily just gotten in an argument with the guy out in Salt Springs on our first show. And been like, oh, get away from me, redneck or whatever.
Right,
you know?
yeah, right.
I could have went that route. But instead, I was like, you know what? I want this guy to sit around and wait. I want him to see that if he experiences something that he's never experienced before, he's going to like it.
Yeah.
He's going to enjoy it. He just needs to understand the roots of it all, you know? And you don't have to go deep diving into it to an extent to where you get a negative connotation of anything either. You can just take things for what they are in the moment, and that's positive, upbeat, and
that's beautiful. And that right there is
you know?
revolution, my friend. You know, talking to somebody, you know, that might not understand your music, and then he looks at you, points at you, and says, "You guys are great." I mean, that's you just changed somebody's mind. That's amazing, man, in a positive way.
Yeah, exactly. So guess what? If I would have yelled at the guy, guess what?
Yes.
He would have hated reggae music forever. Would have correlated this with that. He would have been like, yeah, fuck those guys. You know, I hate their music. But instead, I said, hold up. This guy's probably never experienced it. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he's just confused of where the beat is. You know, sometimes you just have to tell people. I remember stopping a show about 7 years ago. We were in Siesta Key. These people were all clapping off time. I don't even know how the hell they were doing it. They were like, and I'm like, man, y'all are struggling. So I stopped the song. I said, hey, y'all, all right, we're going to do a 2-step. So
nice.
1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just trying to show them, just come on, sway left and right. That's it. And they started doing it, and I was like, oh, shit, it actually worked. So instead of
Yeah,
saying,
exactly,
hey,
yeah.
you a-holes, y'all are screwing me
Yeah,
up. Because I'll be
exactly.
honest,
Yeah.
they were screwing me up, man. I was trying to keep that rhythm going. I was like, oh, closing my eyes at that point because they were like throwing me off. And,
Right. Well,
and
speaking of that, man, what's the most wild or unforgettable gig story that you have, man? You've told us two pretty cool ones about
Oh,
the
man.
the guy coming up, and then about stopping a song in the middle and making people, vibe right. But there's got to be, especially playing out in Ocala and at some of the venues and some of the remote locations you guys have played.
So I had one sour taste incident that happened. So sometimes there's time when occasionally, this is so, dude, I'm talking about
Very rare.
less than
Right.
1% of our shows this has ever happened. And this time was at this local place. I'm not even going to name the place
definitely
because
not,
I
yep.
don't want them to get any negative. But we're playing at this place that's near downtown Ocala, and this guy is sitting there with his wife, and it's packed joint. Everyone's there. It's a Friday night or something. We're having a good time. Everyone's having a great time. And I get done with the song and this full band show. And, dude, I hear something out the crowd. Play Why You Sing Like You're
What?
Black. And I
Wow.
went, what? And I said, wait,
Right.
who said that? And dude goes, why don't you sing
wow,
like you're
man.
white? Went,
Yeah, no kidding.
I said, oh, ladies and gentlemen, I got something to tell y'all.
Yeah.
There is a racist right there. Very rare to see
Right.
a piece of shit like this. But he just admitted what he just said.
Right.
He said it twice.
Good. You called him out.
And I was like, so sir, I'm gonna actually
Right.
employ you right now. What does that even mean? I was like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to sound like your favorite singer,
Right.
Bob Seger? Is that what's going on? I was like, turn the page, what you want to hear, over and over every Friday night, so you can be emo and listen to your little country music or whatever. Bro, I was going off, and I was like, well, I'm here to tell you that my family's from a little island called St. Croix.
Amen.
My family is every color of the rainbow. So I don't really appreciate you saying what you said, but I don't know what you mean by sing white.
Right.
Please tell me what that means. And he got quiet.
Yeah, because
he just stared at the ground. He stared at the ground, I swear to you, for about 30 minutes. And then finally, after his wife was roasting him the whole time, like everybody was roasting him, the coolest moment from that explosion was when this little short, probably 80-year-old cowboy, and yes, we all know who the Cowboys are, came, had a bolo tie, little guy, had the boots on, you know, he looked like he was from Arizona. But he comes up to me, a little white dude, and he goes, son, you're right. That was awesome. Gives me a fist bump.
Awesome,
and I went, oh, damn. And so he did that, and everybody was stoked about it. That was definitely a time that I always keep in my mind. And then I have one other time.
Right.
Had nothing to do with that, though. It was a error on stage.
Oh,
and it was by a former member that transposed his whole keyboard a whole step higher.
Oh, man.
Before a show.
Oh, man. So
intro.
It just did not sound right.
Oh, yeah. Well, I caught on within probably the first 5 notes that I played. Because it was he and I that were setting the tone for this. And we were doing this Florida run. And it was at one of these places you can't fuck up at. And it wasn't Janet's
awesome.
Live because we
Yep.
fucking had a great time there. but it was another place around Florida, and I got so fucking mad because I was like, this had nothing to do with what,
Right.
like, I couldn't do anything because the stage that we were on was a skinny stage.
Side by
So
side.
everybody
you can,
was
like, walk,
stacked next to each other rather than, yeah. So I like a big stage
Sure.
where you could go in almost like a circle because I like to play in a circle with the guys, you know? And, well, this was not that stage, and I couldn't yell to the keyboardist, so I kept introducing him. I introduced him like twice because I wanted him to catch on to what was happening, but he was so stoned at the time that he didn't even realize that he was. So I was like, man, if you can't handle your shit, bro, you can't do that shit anymore. That's why I don't smoke before gigs. Seriously, man. Yeah, because
I can't.
I smoke every fucking time, bro. Like me, I have THC infused music. Man. That was so I get as high as I can. But I caught on and I had to transpose the whole song, and the song was Take Me to Paradise. I had to transpose it a whole step higher and sing it a whole step higher.
Good thing you have good vocal range.
And it was already a kind of high song.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, shit, man, this sucks. So the first, like, 20 seconds of the intro just sounded strange because everybody was trying to slide into tune. So you got my sax player going,
Oh, yikes.
Like, oh, man, shit. Yeah, and it was like, and I just remember feeling helpless. It was the one time that I felt purely helpless on stage, man. There was nothing I could do. I said, well, we're playing this whole step higher. Fuck it. And we did. We finished our set, and we just didn't say a word. We didn't say anything. Yeah. We're just like, we're just going to...
Silence is golden
Just going to move on.
Well,
Oh, yeah. But you can never let anything like that make you
hell no.
quit doing music or something. It's just you realize what you gotta not do next time. Always learn by the negative example. That's how I've always done things. I always look through the window and I'm like, that doesn't look safe. That doesn't look like the
I'm gonna share my favorite Propaganjah gig story real quick. It wasn't too long ago, and it was a camping festival, and I had been hanging out with you guys all day. I had been there the day before, the night before. I was just worn out. I was tired, so I kind of went to just lay down in my tent for a couple of minutes, and I ended up passing out. Well, I woke up, and my wife was laying next to me, and literally woke up, and I just looked over at her, and I was like, God, they are fucking bad. You guys had taken the stage and your music woke me up, and I kind of came out of the sleep slowly hearing it. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, this is amazing. I looked over, I was like, God, they are fucking bad. So I was woken out of a deep sleep by your music. It was hilarious, man. Cause I was like, man, and she looked at me, she's like, no kidding, man. So your music's amazing, but that live vibe that you guys bring is just incredible, man. It is, it's just, it's
Man,
like I said,
thank you.
Waking up out of a sleep to it and kind of just becoming aware of it and just hearing it. And I was like, wow. Because that's when I'm at my most honest point when I wake up. Straight up. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm either angry because I have to wake up, or I'm like, you know, I'm not a morning person. When I wake up, I need a couple minutes. But that was definitely pretty funny and a pretty awesome moment. Oh, it was. And she looked right at me and goes, damn.
Thank you. No, it was because everybody's energy. Everybody's energy made that show awesome, and that's what we're trying to show people, you know. We're trying to show people that if you have energy transfers like that, it's always a good time, and everybody feels comfortable and safe and good around us, and that's what we want, is an awesome energy environment, and we feed off of that, and we love playing off of each other. And that night in particular was one of our favorite nights in the last 6 years, I would say. I'll be honest, one of my favorite shows in the last 6 years.
The venue that we're talking about is JD Birds in Weirsdale, Florida. So massive shout out to JD Birds. Massive shout out to
Oh
the
yeah,
owner, Sean and Shannon.
Lady
They,
Bird.
they, they do an absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic
awesome
job. So
people.
speaking of the
Awesome
show,
people.
speaking of the festival, speaking of all that, what are some of the reggae acts that you
Yeah.
love to play with or collaborate with? I know you probably got a million, and there's no disrespect if you don't mention all of them, but a couple of your favorites.
Oh man. Yeah, I know. I'm actually friends with a lot of them. Actually, my buddies from Summerlong just started jamming again, and I'm really stoked about that. Actually, me and Christian are going to be hanging out soon
Great.
to do some things. So Summerlong, huge shout out to Summerlong and Christian. So he's been a good friend of mine for the last few years. So we've known them since the beginning of Propaganjah, pretty much, and they would hit us up and be like, "Hey, you guys want to jump on a show with us?" And we're like,
Great.
"Yeah, fuck it, that would be cool as hell." And that was when we were like really cool with like a lot of people, and we were wanting to be friends with everybody. And then music is just a strange world, you know. I'll be honest, I didn't like being a part or around a lot of the musician like folks, you know, because I'm a left and right brain kind of person. So I love my Monday through Friday working for a civil engineering firm. Love doing that. And I was harping with my buddy. We were talking about full-time music or do you want to do both, you know? And I said, I've always wanted to keep it as both, man. I love using both sides. And I feel like it's most efficient to your mind to be able to use both. And so I kind of stepped away from a lot of working with a ton of different bands. It has nothing to do with the bands at all. It's literally just we want to jam. We want to play for 3+ hours. We just love playing, and we play 2.5 hours, 3 hours worth of originals, and most of them aren't even recorded yet. You know, that's the hardest process of everything, is getting everybody together to record. So this summer, you'll notice that we're taking off some time so we can record, because there's so much that we have to record. Some things we're gonna re-record. Like we're gonna bring back Rebel Seas. That's the song I was talking about earlier. But yeah, as far as bands around Florida, maybe after we start recording, and I think that you'll probably see us playing with some. We've known a lot of bands around Florida for a long time. Summerlong, Brothers Within, the Intercoastals. We just know we're friends with a lot of people around the state, and we just enjoy good music too, you know, and we enjoy all kinds of bands, like Cam Wheaton band. They're out of Chiefland area in Trenton, and that's actually our keyboardist son, Joey Wheaton. That's his son. They're awesome band. They play like southern rock to blues to country style, bluegrass, whatever you want. You know, they're a really talented band. We like playing a lot of eclectic festivals. We would rather play with a lot of jam bands, and we enjoy playing with jam bands, and we want to get more in on that scene, because we like to extend songs. We'll take a 4-minute song and we'll turn it into a 10-minute epic if it feels right. You know, and we do it all on the fly. We have a structure to the song, but we let it loose at times, and we just go into depending on the energy of the crowd. The crowd's in control of the route that we go, and that's how we feel about it. And
you know what's really cool about that? Natalie Rise kind of brought that up too, and something that I've always loved about the Grateful Dead. But the fact that you bring that up is amazing, and I'll tell you why. In my opinion, you are creating an organic experience that nobody will ever experience again, except for the people at that one show. You know what I mean? That's amazing, man.
Woodstock experience.
Nobody will ever hear that song that way again.
That's
kind of a gift, in my opinion. You know,
exactly. I feel like it should always be that way, and that's why I've been vocal about my thoughts on click tracks, on all that. You know, in studio things, I feel like that's cool.
Oh my God,
like Groundation, they don't use click tracks in their recording, and I love that.
One take, 10 guys,
and I think that's amazing because
It is.
reggae is supposed to be organic. It really
Sure.
is, because it speaks to people. And if you have and if you write the lyrics that also speak
Yep.
to the people, that's just reinforced,
Yep.
and that's going to be a subliminal message. And you want that to be
Yep.
a good, positive subliminal message. And it's all with the backbone of that Caribbean rhythm. And that's what keeps that
Sure.
going with that positive message too. It makes people feel right. Like that rhythm, it just makes
why I
you
love that.
feel right, you
Yep.
know?
That's why I love that. Give me one drop. The bass guitar in that it creates that rhythm. Yep.
That's Cristobal.
Really
So
good
that was
stuff, man.
Cristobal back in the day. He's still a great friend of mine. He lives in Portland, Oregon. It was really sad when he moved. That was about 5 years ago or something like that. Yeah. And actually our old drummer Phil is going to be coming and hanging out with me today. So yeah. So I'm friends with a lot of dudes from back in the day. We're just, different life paths and stuff. So, but yeah, man, it's so when you mentioned Give Me One Drop, I think of all them all the time.
And that's,
oh man. Yeah. But yeah, Chris is probably going to tune into this,
100%,
so
man. Yeah.
much love to you, Chris.
Yeah. Shout out, Chris. And it's awesome that you mentioned reggae music. It should be organic. Just had Al Anderson on the show, and he said when he walked in and looked at Bob Marley and said, "What should I play?" He said Bob Marley looked directly in the face and said, "Just play." Didn't tell him what, didn't tell him how. He said, "Just play." Then it came out, organically. So you're exactly right, man.
Yep, organically is the only way, man. Or when things feel forced, it makes you feel different, and that's why I never wanted to go that route anymore. After the first few years of Propaganjah, I was like, man, I don't want to do that whole circuit thing. The whole reggae circuit, making $50 a night per person, I didn't want to do that. We already had our taste of that. We had played some Florida tour dates with some bands, and it wasn't my vibe. It just it didn't feel right. The people I was around didn't feel right. It felt like everybody was in it for the wrong reason. And I was correct about a lot of them. A lot of them just want to be famous, and all of them want to be famous and rich off of it.
Yeah, amen.
Could give a shit. My friend Jason, I got off the phone with him just before this podcast, and he's just like, man, I'm fucking shocked by, I just don't understand you. I said, I know, but I just feel like selling your soul is the worst thing you could do. That's why I'm very convicted in all of my thoughts, and I try to be articulate about everything when it comes to any opinion that I have. And that's why I don't make irrational decisions on the fly because I'm emotional about something. I like to sit down, zen out, smoke a joint, chill, study whatever it is that's bothering me, and maybe write a song about it and move on and use it as
That's beautiful,
power.
man. That's so awesome. So speaking of, Florida, where do you see in particular the Florida reggae scene heading in the next 5 years?
Feel like I don't know if there's going to be a roots rise up or anything here. I don't really study enough of the bands around, like, to be honest, like lately I've been listening to a lot of Breaking Benjamin,
right on.
So
yeah, sure.
So just to give you a scope of like, so I don't listen to a lot of American reggae at all, so I really don't know much to even articulate on that. We're kind of like, we stick in our own bubble a little bit, but I really hope that like Savi Fernandez, awesome band. I really want to see them playing some awesome shows around the state with some awesome bands coming in. I feel like there's a lot of bands out there that need to be on some big tickets with some awesome bands like Steel Pulse, and Tribal Seeds when they come into town. I feel like there's a lot of bands that audibly should be a part of those shows that may not be a part of those shows. I'm a I'm a vocals first guy when it
Right.
comes to hearing a band. So vocals have to be there, and you know, I'm not much into
Right.
the emo vocals
Yeah,
on
no.
reggae music. And that seems to be
Right.
about 9 out of 10 of the bands, you know.
Right.
And
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of that, you know. But like I said, that doesn't
Of
mean that I
course.
hate anybody or anything.
Everyone's got their own
I'm just
taste,
like,
man.
nah, I'm good on that. I'll pass on that. I'll stick with the Mo
Right.
Calamities of the world, and you know, and
Yeah.
even Modest Yahoo and all that, which I love. I love his stuff from back in the day, the Live at Stubbs album.
Right.
I love the energy on that album. That really influenced
Nice.
live performances for me. So, you know, I got a lot of inspiration from a lot of things. So it's hard for me to just sit down and listen to one genre of music and key it in. Like, I haven't listened to a lot of music that maybe
Sure, I
I
hear
should
ya.
have.
Yep.
Like locally, you know what I'm saying, as far as reggae music is concerned. But if you have any that you feel, you know, that you could throw my way that I think would be
100%,
good,
man.
definitely do that. You know, I like some
Oh, that's all
real
I listen to,
militant
bro.
reggae a lot of the
Yeah.
time when I'm listening. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that
Yeah.
Bob, it makes you make that stank face, you know? And like
Yeah.
Mo Calamity reggae vibration, it makes me
Yeah.
just sit there, make like a stank face, and I'll be sitting here jamming
Yep.
to it. That's actually what I was jamming to earlier. I just love jamming to good vibe,
Yep.
you know, deep root
Yep.
reggae music a lot.
That's mine
Tribal
and my
Seeds is a
wife's
great
favorite
American
American
reggae band,
reggae
too, that I
band.
love.
I listen to like Acapecca,
Oh
Midnight. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
awesome. Oh yeah,
Yes.
Midnight. Well, hey, now you're speaking my
Very
language.
good stuff,
Midnight's
man.
from St. Croix, so
Vaughn
rest in peace,
Benjamin,
Vaughn
man.
Benjamin. You know, Vaughn Benjamin.
Unbelievable, bro.
Man, that dude could write some songs. He was
Yep.
just like a prophet, you
Augustus
know.
Pablo. I love all that
And
stuff.
yeah, he made a huge mark in the
Yeah.
reggae world, especially for
St. Croix
St.
roots,
Croix,
baby.
because nobody would really know about St. Croix in the
Yeah. Saint,
reggae world, at
yep.
least. You know, they
Yes.
fresh a bud pipe
Yeah,
from
wow, get the hell out of here. That's
St.
amazing, man,
Thomas.
that you actually know
He's
that.
from
That's
St.
cool,
Thomas.
man.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we you know, my cousins raised us on some good music too. Our cousins moved up here for a while, and they were introducing me to
Yeah.
a lot of the dance hall that they grew up on.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Capleton and all the really
Yep.
good, like I was saying, Beanie Man, Elephant
I
Man,
love Sizzla
Sizzla,
Kalonji, man.
and we just got down to a lot of that. Sister Nancy, we were able to play with her, you know, and guess what? I grew up on a lot of eclectic music, and growing up on Virgin Island style music was really cool. Merry Men, they're a calypso band from Barbados.
Yeah.
Mighty Sparrow. Yeah. So real good stuff, man. We just grew up on culture, and that's what people need to embrace is culture. They need to stop talking
Right.
about race all the time. It's all about culture. It's all about culture and being positive
Absolutely,
part
man.
of the culture. I don't like when people
Yeah.
embrace the negatives of culture and call it a good
Absolutely.
culture. I don't know why people get offended by that statement ever, but
Sure.
inflection is everything. Like Tupac said, you know, accountability. You know, you have to look within and see if one can better themselves. I'm always striving. I'm always striving to see if I could do better at anything, you know? And that's it. I think the world just needs to look at themselves, the whole world. Just do an inner and fight your inner demons, get over them, move forward, persevere, you know.
That's it.
And reggae music is all about
Absolutely.
that. And it should be about that. And like I said, there's reggae
Sure.
style and then there's reggae message. I think both have
Certainly.
their place. So I appreciate both, and each can
Ab-
learn from the other, you know? It's just
Absolutely,
a
man.
different
Thank you
thing.
so much. That is very well said, sir. 100%. So, what's next for Propaganjah? I know you had mentioned doing some, re-recording some stuff, recording some new stuff that you had. Any tours coming up? Anything like
Absolutely.
that?
So we have some things in the works as far as tours. I don't really like the whole idea of the whole
Right.
van life, hopping from town to town. But I'm not opposed to doing regional things here and there. You know, if we got 4 cool
Sure.
days in a region, I don't mind driving 6 hours to each location or 8 hours to each location. We don't mind doing that, getting a hotel each night. But we don't want to be busting it and touring it for months or weeks all around the United States. Never really been an ambition of mine since the first few years. Like I said, there are a lot of people trying to steer things that way, and it just didn't feel right. And I felt like I was selling my soul. And I know that sounds like a scapegoat to a lot of people, but
Right.
it just didn't feel right. The people didn't feel right. The promoters never feel right. And that's why we're very particular. And that's why we don't do a lot of touring per se. I set up all the shows, and I just let people call into us or reach out to us, because to me, that makes me feel better about bringing us to a place where we're firmly welcomed and the people are hospitable, because we went through that struggle in the past of trying to appease places that were just
Right.
kind of douchey to us and just expected things from us, and or management that expected things from us or something of that nature, and didn't feel right. I felt slimy. I felt like that, you know, the old days when they said, "Hey kid, I'm gonna make you a star one day," with a cigar in his mouth. Well, we kind of had one of those weird situations, and I swear to you, the dude was just like the Disney characters. The evil uncle,
Right.
from that movie Luca, all slimy and shit.
Yeah.
Well, it was just like that, and everything that he would talk to me about was about marketing and shit like that, branding. And I was like, cool, man, yeah, awesome. Well, I just want to perform music and spread a message.
Beautiful.
And it just got fucking weird, man. The people were weird. I understand everybody wants to make a buck and all, but man, some of them were so overboard, like slimy. And a lot of them still do business all the time, and people let them run the train on them.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word. And I'm like, we ain't going to be getting the train run on us, because we don't want that energy around us. So that's why we don't work with a lot of promoters and stuff around here for said tours. And, but we're definitely never opposed to putting together our own tour, to where we just bring our music to places that maybe never even get looked at for reggae music, but like big, small towns. You know what I'm saying? I've always wanted to do that. Bring us to the town on the outskirt of that big town, so those people will appreciate it forever and they'll remember us forever.
Sure.
You know, that's making a mark. And why would I go down to St. Pete, where there's 100 reggae bands a year that play there, and they're like, oh, there's 5 other reggae bands playing up the road, and it's like, it just feels like a weird, like, I don't even know, it just feels like a circus, and it doesn't make me feel like I'm making a mark or spreading the culture I grew up on to anybody. That I'm not saying that everybody has experienced it that lives in an inner city or in the city limits, but I would rather bring it to maybe people that will never get a reggae band to call them and say, hey, I'll play at your venue. Like, oh, we've never even had a reggae band want to play there, because we get that all the time. We've tried calling this band, the other band. They never reached out to us. And I said, oh, we can do it. We'll make it happen. We'll bring a party. And that, like, we're playing Dunellen next Saturday, we're playing in Dunellen. And it's a city on the outskirts of Ocala. And it's going to be an awesome show. The people,
it's a
I don't
beautiful
think
area.
they've ever had a reggae band out there. We played in Dunellen a couple of times back in the day, about 6 years ago. But, those are places I want to affect. Because instead of 2 people being affected in a big city, you're going to have all 100 to 200 or whatever amount of people are there affected by that night. You know, so you'll notice we just kind of sprinkle ourselves everywhere within the gaps. We fill in the gaps, and I like doing that. It feels better. The people feel good, and it feels like feels like everyone's there for the right reasons. And it definitely, those thick populous areas.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel the same to be on stage. That it doesn't. With the exception of like Janice Live, that was a really good time. You know, with the exception of a few gigs like that, it doesn't. It's not the same experience, because these are people that are getting something fresh that they've never experienced before. Now they may be a changed person because of it. They're gonna now investigate, what is this reggae music or Caribbean music they're talking about? Maybe I don't dislike this. The next time we see them, oh yeah, I listen to this band, this band, this band, and we're like, oh yeah, we're actually friends with those guys. And it's really cool because they get a new appreciation in life.
That's awesome, bro.
So so when it comes to plans, we're gonna still be playing those areas around, but during the summer, we're gonna be heavy recording, and because we've had some changes in the band in the last year, so we want to go back and revisit some recordings and just lay out some new recordings and come up with the rest of the album for Perception of Time. I've already got it written. All the songs are there. It's about 10 to 12 songs. So let's see.
Nice.
Let's see how it goes for the summer.
That's beautiful, bro.
That's
Thank
our
you
plan.
so much. Now, I'm going to head into a quick fire session real quick. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and answer me as fast as you can. What's your favorite Rasta proverb or lyric? Or reggae?
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
Absolutely.
Because that's
What's one reggae artist
today.
living or no longer with us that you'd love to jam with? Nice. If you weren't making
Steel Pulse,
reggae music
for sure.
right now, what would you be doing? And I already know you work for an engineering firm, but
I'd probably be full
Nice.
on
and
civil
what can
engineer.
fans do to support the Propaganjah mission right now?
Keep making a positive impact on your audiences.
Beautiful.
And don't alienate them. Don't alienate them, because we all love each other and we all know that we do. We all go out and experience the world. Don't let the 1% or less things that you see in the news headlines make you think that everybody is that way.
Amen.
You can't blanket everything with negative thoughts. Everything isn't negative, or else every day we would be getting mugged.
Right.
Every day we would be getting beat up. Every day there would be something happening right in front of us all the time. Stop living in make-believe
That's beautiful,
world.
man. So thank you, Rob, so much for coming on the show, man. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yes.
We got to go do a deep dive into Propaganjah, learn a lot about you and a lot about the band that most people probably never knew. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute blessing. I love talking to you off the podcast. It was great to have you.
Thank you.
To have you on the podcast. Thank you so much, man. We definitely appreciate it.
Thank you. And I want to give a
100%.
shout out to all my guys in my band. I want to give a shout out to Antonio, our new bass player. He's been our sound guy for years. He makes me super proud. He's been a part of the Propaganjah journey since 8 years ago. So it was a long time coming. Really, really cool to have Antonio as our bass player. It feels right to have him on stage with us.
Happy birthday.
Elliot, happy 40th birthday. Been jamming with him for a long time. Love Elliot. He's a brother to me. Antonio's a brother to me. Like I said, these guys are all my best friends. Jesus Fenthelon on the drums. Totally awesome guy. I've seen it in his eyes from the time I saw him on YouTube before. So Marshall Hearn from Cashed Out actually got me connected with our drummer, Jesus. And it was the best thing ever. So shout out to Marshall from Cashed Out. Love you, bro. Sorry, it was me and my gal's anniversary. So I didn't get to see you, bro, but much love to you, Marshall. And so Jesus has been a godsend for sure. And so we like to make the
Right.
joke that we
Jesus.
walk
Yeah,
with Jesus
that's
now.
beautiful.
So Jesus on the drums has been awesome since the time I saw him on YouTube. Though I saw it in his eyes, I said, "This guy's he's got a soul, and that's what matters. Is he has an amazing soul, and he's right in line with us. We're just naturally fit in with us. We got Joey Wheaton on the keys, and he has Resolve Records studio, and he does our publishing and everything. And Joey's an awesome dude. Love having him in the band. These guys, like I said, he's another best friend of mine. We call each other,
Nice.
keep each other in check. We're just we're definitely brothers in arms for sure in this band. And Uncle Steve's an awesome guy. He's from England. He's been playing reggae music since he was a little boy playing keys. And I've always loved British reggae,
Yes.
considering Steel
Absolutely.
Pulse is a British band.
Right.
Most people never remember that.
Yeah, fantastic.
UB40,
Absolutely.
fantastic reggae band.
Yep.
From UK. So he brings a lot of that old school bubble to our mix and now too, and we love that. And so we got the best of all the worlds in the band, and just a shout out to all of them. They really do make this whole journey so awesome.
Yes.
And shout out to Ryan Thurgoland on sax as well, and also shout out to Jose Pinheiro on sax up
Nice.
in a band called Dionysus. He actually laid down the sax on "Take Me to
Oh,
Paradise."
right on, man.
The recording on Spotify. So yeah, he's a really awesome dude. Check out his band Dionysus. Crazy, awesome band. And he's the leader of that band on sax. So maybe you'll see Jose jump in too after Ryan leads for the summer. So we were floating around the idea about
Right.
bringing the sax back to the band, because I took a hiatus on the sax after Ryan, because we love Ryan so much that I was like, man, I'm sad because I don't like stepping on people's toes, and I know that like everybody's got their other bands that they're in, so I'm kind of like, oh man,
Yeah,
I want
right.
them all for myself. We want these guys in this band, so yeah, man, it's a godsend though to have all these awesome, talented bands around us too. So much love to everybody out there, and I hope everybody rides that positive energy vibe.
100%. Thank you so much, man. Once again, much appreciated. So there's strength in unity. Build your community. Now follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on TikTok. Shoot me an email, hippie-fari-reggae@gmail.com, and check out my website, hippie-fari.podbean.com. I'm the only Hippie-Fari in the world. I am not hard to find. This is Scotty, the high-strung hippie, and Kira, the Irie Empress, reminding you to speak your mind before somebody else does it for you. And do something nice for somebody today. Grab flowers for your partner. Smoke out a stranger. Slip the homeless man a buck. But whatever you do, do it from the heart. All good things start with the heart. Peace, love, and Rasta rhythms are all a part of the reggae revolution. One love, fam.